Hi, my name is Andrea Rodriguez Solis and this is my ELE project. Well, the topic I chose for my ELE project was our impact as human in the nature and environmental. So it's too important to know what kind of impact we are caused in our environment and nature. I'm going to tell you about the impact we are caused with the past of the years. First, the change to biophysical environments and ecosystem, biodiversity, and natural resources. Second, global warming. Of course, we marched the last Friday for that, and just climate. Okay, next, third, environmental degradation. 4, mass extinction and biodiversity loss. 5, ecological crisis and ecological collapse. Okay, for this project I prepare a searching before doing this video, of course, and then I create a questions to ask 3 people who, one student for a different program, one student for CRLT, and a teacher for CLT. After do this searching about the impact as human in the nature and environment, I create a questions for my interviews, and I'm gonna read the questions now. Okay, I asked them what it means for you the word nature. Next question, how many time you spend in the nature, and if you feel different in the city and be in the nature, can you tell me what do you feel? And then I asked them, do you like to do activities outside, and please tell me why. Then I asked them, do you know some environmental impact caused for humans? And then finally, the final question, and very important, it was, what are you doing now to change or reduce the impact as human? So this is what they answered me. And the final question I asked them, it was what are they do it for make a difference or reduce the footprint carbon dioxide. So please join me to hear their answers. When I heard the answers of my interviews, I just was thinking what I'm doing for make a difference, to do something, the impact as human we're created because the past of the years, it's awesome. We can live without too many things we created after 20th century. So I think we can reduce our consumerism and the materialism we have, So that's my conclusion. The impact as humans can be reduced, and with that we can reduce the problems. And why not learn about the problems what are happening now, and then we can share with our family, friends, and people who knows all the things we can do for make the circle of life continue. That's my conclusion. Thank you.
So nature for me is really an environment where you can be close to your past. You can be with the green spaces, trees, water. So it's very a peaceful place for me, and nature for me, as I've been taught, is a very good mentor to follow. So I spend around 10 to 15 hours in nature, especially studying and like just taking time for myself. There is a huge difference between nature and city. When I'm in the nature, I feel more at peace and more like connected to myself. Whereas in the city, there's always this stress and always being on time and rush. So there's that big difference that you can see between nature and cities. So I do like doing nature activities. I really like doing the meditation. I learned a lot about doing Tai Chi as well. There's also just walking down nature and filling yourself with that positive energy. And obviously I've been practicing some sound maps since we've been in ELE. Yeah. So sadly as humans, we have polluted a lot of our oceans with plastic. So there's this big thing going on with turtles where they're choking or can't breathe because of plastic straws or plastic bags. So right now what I'm trying to do to offset all these bad impacts that like we as humans are doing, I am working alongside the compost in Chateauguay. So I'm trying to make little activities for kids to like teach them on compost, and I'm actually doing the compost in my own house.
Nature means to me, it's like our mother, it's like the earth all together. Nature is peace, it's yeah, it's nature is much like peace and environment and all together, and okay, I do feel a difference when I'm in nature or when I'm in a city or urbanized like zone, because in nature it's all put together, it's all like mixed, it's peaceful and it's relaxed, while in cities it's like, whoa, there's cars and there's a lot of like buildings and stuff. It's more like artificial, and yeah, I prefer being in nature. Okay, I do like to do activities in nature, and I'm in the Scouts, so it's kind of making me go in nature more often than I will do like myself. So, okay, impact that humans have on nature. It's I know that the meat, like when we do meat, there's like a big impact because we need to like deforest all the forest and to put soya and other things so we can like feed the animals that we are going to kill with like for eating, and that's like a bad habit that we have. Okay, so the things that I do to make my place a better place, it's I'm vegetarian. I'm also trying to reduce all my plastic like use of things like that. So yeah, and much I also like talk to people that I know about the environment and try to make them a little bit more touch to the problems. Okay, so how much time I pace in nature? It's I go like each week to like parks and things. I try to go and bike, but sometimes it's way too cold, so I just can't. But yeah, I pass like I go each week in nature.
Nature for me means everything that exists that can affect our daily lives. You know, and these are things that are beyond our control, that essentially Mother Nature has created. So we have to, and we have no choice but to accept what is offered to us through nature. And we need to react differently, and we have no control. Unfortunately, we in our habits can impact the type of stuff that occurs as a result of nature, stuff like the environment. What are we doing to the environment that can cause us to have warmer winters, hot summers, storms, and the like? That is a very, very good question. And it's a good question because I can say my life has two different phases. My life prior to me being a teenager, and my life as a teenager and adult, or today that exists today. I grew up in the West Indies, and I spent a lot of time in nature, essentially. I lived in a house, no running water, no electricity, so pretty much everything was done outside. And it was dependent on the seasons for us to get what we want in terms of our survival. Now, coming to Canada in 1976, moving to the city, I moved to the city and then realized that there's a lot of things that I grew up with that I no longer have access to. And what's the impact? Yes, the concrete jungle is what I am now living in. However, I try to duplicate as many things as I possibly can, or spend a lot of time outside in nature. I love gardening. I love birds. I have 9 gardens at my house, so during the summer I spend a lot of time gardening. I'm a golfer as well, and you can say golfing courses have had an impact negatively on the environment, but just to spend a lot of time on golf courses allows me to experience and see a lot of the things that are out there that you don't get in the city, stuff like birds and different trees and sounds that are clouded when we're in the city, as opposed to being on a golf course where you can actually hear sounds of all sorts of animals and see a variety of animals. And enjoy the fact that yes, nature is still at work and I can still enjoy the outdoors. There are things that I know, not necessarily in Canada, but I know in the West Indies, where second and third generation people like myself are going back and want our big houses up in the mountains away from everybody, and that has caused a lot of clear cutting. And unfortunately, when it rains hard, the fact that the roots of trees are no longer there to retain some of the soil. When you're on a mountain looking down at the ocean, all you're seeing is a massive amount of mud that surrounds the bay from the runoff from the rivers, and that black or brown mud that you see out for a kilometer or so surrounding a tiny island like the St. Vincent, we know that those particles are affecting some of the the marine life around the bay. And yes, and as a result, I know that some of the things that I enjoyed as a young child no longer exist because the runoff has killed a lot of the marine life that lived close to the shore. Okay. Good question. As a kid growing up poor, I know that I used to, and most people know of my history, I used to go to the dump and look for cans and all sorts of stuff in an effort to survive with. So when someone tossed out at the local hotel, when they tossed out cans and bottles, those were kitchen items for me. Obviously, a few years later, I no longer have that, so I need to find ways. Now, I must admit that previously it wasn't recycling, but it was recycling for survival. So it was, benefits for the environment and for the family as well. And now, just recycling. I love, like I said previously, I love gardening. So a lot of my food waste and stuff like that goes into a compost that I put into my garden. And I must say, this has been a great year for it because I have, pepper plants that have grown, 2 to 3 feet high, which I've never seen before because I've used some of my own compost and not have to rely on fertilizer or anything like that. So yes, I think I'm doing a little bit. At the same time, it's benefiting the environment, and definitely I'm enjoying the fruits and vegetables of my labor.
Be part of ELE showed me that I can't stay in the same position. I need to change my activities. I need to change my routine. I need to be informed that things happen around me. It's not to be the same, you know. With this program and with this class, I know when I return to Mexico and then when I come back, I can do a compost, and maybe I can tell my classmates how can they do it too. And of course, recycling, it's super interesting how we can reduce our footprint in this world. And yeah, maybe with one action we can change our world. Not a whole world, but yeah, you're around all your people close to you knows you are doing something, and then they're gonna do it too, and then we are gonna be millions of people who do things to change, the routine, to use